a little bit hard to walk up here because we're at 12,000 feet. But the reason we came all the way up here is to see the Sacsayhuaman. Check it out.
Sacsayhuaman is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This famous archaeological complex, built by the Incas in the 15th century, sits above the city of Cusco at an altitude of about 12,000 feet. Its precise purpose is unknown, but archaeologists speculate that it was a fortress that served to protect the ancient capital of the Incan Empire. Its remaining wall, which can still be visible today, is built from giant stones, some weighing up to 100 tons. Most of the other structures of the complex are no longer here, but the shape and size of them have some researchers speculating that it was also an important ceremonial site, or even an energetic vortex. And like many ancient structures of Peru, its true purpose remains a mystery.
Standing in the middle of a big circular plaza or arena. It's a little bit hard to tell, but it's perfectly round. And the legend has it that that tunnel over there leads all the way to downtown Cusco. It's about 1 kilometer in length, and students used to go there, but they since closed it because some of them encountered zombies in the tunnel.
Joking aside, there is a lot of mystery that surrounds Sacsayhuaman. When the Spanish first came here, they couldn't believe that humans built it and thought that the construction was aided by demons. Let's take a closer look. Down here, you can really appreciate the scale of just how big these stones are. When the Spanish came to Cusco, they tried to dismantle Sacsayhuaman. They took the smaller stones to build their cathedrals and private mansions, but they could never remove these massive boulders that made up the wall of the fortress. They simply didn't have the technology to do it.
And here's a view of how these rocks are stacked together. The Incas didn't use any cement, so what holds them together is that they're like puzzle pieces, carved out in precise shapes to fit together, like this. But look at the seams. I don't know what kind of cutting tools they used, but it's pretty incredible, the precision.
Sacsayhuaman is incredibly impressive, but it's not the only thing that brings thousands of people to Cusco every year. The city itself has an amazing history. At the arrival of Spanish conquistadors, Cusco was the capital of the Incan Empire that stretched for almost 5,000 kilometers from modern-day Colombia in the north to Santiago de Chile in the south. What's remarkable is that the rise and fall of the Incan Empire took place in a span of roughly 2 centuries. Yet, during that time, the Incas built a network of thousands of miles of roads that connected distant regions of the empire, developed advanced agriculture and textile technology, and established one of the most recognizable architectural building styles, examples of which can still be seen all throughout Cusco. In fact, the Spanish built a lot of their own structures on top of the Incan foundations. A great example of that is the Temple of Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun, which was the main temple of the Incan Empire. The Spanish built a monastery on top of it. However, during the earthquake of 1950, a part of the convent collapsed, while the original Incan structure remained intact. Today, thousands of people flock to Cusco for its history, but also because it's the starting point for many amazing hikes and treks in this region of Peru. And of course, this is where you have to come if you want to visit Machu Picchu. We decided to stay in the neighborhood called San Blas, which is close to the historic city center. Come with me and I will give you a little tour of this cute neighborhood.
So this is the San Blas neighborhood with its famous pedestrian streets, these cute little alleys everywhere, lots of stairs, but also everywhere you go, each door you peek into, there's like art galleries and cute cafes, little boutique hotels. This is an ancient Inca wall. It was built in the 15th century. And that rock over there has 12 corners. So instead of bricks that only have 4 corners, it has 12 different corners. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The 12 angled rock. Of the city?
Well, I love the climate. It's, it's definitely high altitude living at basically 12,000 feet, but it's really dry and cool. And the UV index here is high. I mean, like, for example, at the highest point of the day at noon, it's UV at 15. Compared to North America right now, the highest it's going to be is an 8.
Yeah, I could feel it because I got, just walking around, I got a little burnt.
And so it's definitely a drier climate compared to like Lima, where it's a lot more humid because it's sea level. So you have to plan. It takes a while to get used to the high altitude in terms of hiking and being active.
But we did pretty good. I mean, we got here on Tuesday night and felt like a little bit lightheaded on Tuesday evening. But Wednesday we were up and like walking around.
Well, that's because we've come from another Indian village in Colombia at 8,000 feet.
Yeah, so we've been altitude training this whole time.
for 2 years. So, what do you like about Cusco in terms of?
Well, I was really excited to visit Cusco. I heard so many cool things, and it's been on my list for a long time. And so I had pretty high expectations. But being honest, it has exceeded my expectations because it's just so full of history and there's so much going on. It's absolutely beautiful. It reminds me kind of like Florence in Europe because there's all these narrow streets, cobblestone streets, beautiful historic buildings. And also I was thinking, okay, it's up here in the Andes, it's going to be pretty remote, so maybe I'll feel like isolated from the world. But actually, there are so many tourists here from every possible country that you feel like the world comes to you, and the city itself caters to all the different tastes and needs of those people. So whatever cuisine you're into, you can find it here. Lots of cool coffee shops like this one. This one actually has like different like herbs and tonics, and they host workshops. It's a really cool place. It definitely has its own subculture.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, like anything you want to find here, and like you're saying, it has such a large international community. So it's like the world comes to you, even though you're in a remote Indian.
And the cool thing is, like, people with common interests who are into like adventure travel, they flock here, and so you'll find a lot more like-minded people than the ones that always like stay in their little town their whole life.
There's no shortage of things to do around Cusco. We visited a bunch of archaeological sites that are a bus ride away from the center of town. One Saturday, we went to 4 of them, and each offered something unique. Like this place, Tambomachay, which is an Incan settlement with some really cool water engineering features. Here, the Incas built channels and fountains without water pumps. They used the weight of the rocks to put pressure on the aquifer and force the water to go up, creating these nice water features. From here, we continued to our next site, appreciating the cool, crisp mountain air and the stunning views all around us. Luckily, we didn't have to go very far. The other famous Inca fortress, called Pucapocara, is located just across the street from where we were. And unlike the ruins of Sacsayhuaman, this one is a lot better preserved. It was far enough from Cusco that the Spanish didn't bother to take it apart for building blocks. Because of that, we can still admire it today. Next, we set out to see the Temple of the Moon, which is actually free to visit. You just have to walk there, or take a horse.
There's plenty of things to do in Cusco proper. There's like 16 different churches that you can visit, and they're all included on the boleto turístico.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of church.
Yeah, but to us, we would rather be outside hiking in this beautiful nature. To me, this beats, city touring any day, and city living too. What I was thinking about as we were visiting these Inca archeological sites is that these people lived close to nature. They lived in nature, and they were so connected to the earth. They had all these sacred spots that provided a special connection with their environment. And today, we're completely disconnected with our environment. We spend all of our time indoors, and nobody's happy.
No, exactly. It's this modern matrix reality has brought us from an evolutionary standpoint. It's relatively a new concept for Homo sapiens to bring them from the outdoors into the indoors. I mean, we came from a agrarian culture, basically farming outside in the 1900s. So less than 100 years ago, most of the work was done outside. And throughout history, you can see as soon as the Industrial Revolution really started, all these diseases started to show up, like rickets, bone diseases. And now, these days,
it's depression, anxiety, all these mental problems.
Exactly.
People are not happy in today's world. And the thing is, if you're not happy with your life, you're going to try to compensate for it by, buying all these expensive things, and you get all these addictions. And so then you have to work more just to be able to afford that consumerist lifestyle. So it's really a vicious circle.
And well, actually, it's unsustainable right now because since the pandemic, the federal government, federal offices have already printed $6 trillion. They basically stimulated the economy with $6 trillion. And the pace we are right now, every 100 days, they're printing another $1 trillion of debt. What does that mean? Inflation. You gotta look at life from a different perspective. Because just trying to keep up, that's unsustainable. That ends up in basically you're on this wheel of the healthcare system. And you can't leave your job because you think
You need insurance.
you need insurance.
You need this, you need that.
But it's actually your
Home.
modern living job is a soft kill. I call it a soft kill. It's slow. So health is wealth. What does that mean? That means that your well-being, how you're feeling, your energy levels is all tied to having actually free time, bandwidth to follow your passions, your dreams. What does that mean? That means your money has to go a lot further. Otherwise, you're expending all your energy, your mitochondria energy, trying to keep up with the matrix modern reality, which financially, if you understand the financials behind it, it's totally unsustainable. From the 401ks to the retirement plans, all of it, it's unsustainable. They're selling you a story. And unfortunately, a lot of people are stuck in their jobs they don't like because of the healthcare system, because they're not feeling well and they don't know how to get out. Well, on this channel, we're trying to talk a little bit, try to create some inspiration that you can create a different reality.
Cusco gave us a lot of inspiration. It's such a beautiful city, and the areas around it are absolutely stunning. So if you're thinking about coming here, I highly recommend it. Next, we're going to check out the Sacred Valley that lays just over those mountains and tell you all about it. So we'll see you in our next video.